It's recording?
Yeah, you can kick us off.
Alright, welcome to a Q&A. Haven't done one of these in a while. Life has changed quite a bit, as you can kind of tell. So, we have no script for this. We have nothing really planned. It's just kind of fire at the hip and let's see what happens. But, yeah. So I'm Gabe McLaughlin, and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is just what we do, and then today we have two very important people to me, so I'll let them introduce themselves.
Houston Bow, been working with Gabe since the end of his GCU days, editing and marketing and lots of stuff, and spent the last 5 days out here in Grand Rapids in Michigan. First time Michigan guy, so he's been showing me the ropes, even though he's been here for like 3 weeks too, so he didn't really have anywhere to show me. Exactly. But yeah, it's good. Looking forward to talking some hoops.
And I'm Gabe's father, Kevin McLaughlin, and I've been pretty much with Gabe since the beginning there, and you know,
really?
Known him a long time.
Known him a long time.
known him a while, and so seen him pretty much go through a lot of changes, a lot of challenges on his way to becoming the man who he is and the ball player who he is. So yeah, that's it.
I appreciate that. Well, thank you. I'm happy you both are here. Hats off to you both. But yeah, I don't know. So just Q&A. Just, I don't know if there's ever any questions or anything like that. So I'll start off basically just telling you the season of life I'm in. So from the last time you guys probably knew, I was in the middle of a journey, trying to make some basketball dreams come true. To make some NBA dreams, develop and come into fruition. And since then, we have landed a spot on the Grand Rapids G League team, and now we're just trying to work our way up, improve, and, hopefully one day earn a roster spot on an NBA team. But in that giant journey that from then to now, there has been so much that has happened, so much to tell, and so much that you can see in later YouTube videos. So if you have the time, click the bell and subscribe, because there's a lot of story that we have to tell from then to now and even into the future. And if you're intrigued in any of that journey, be sure to tap in. But yeah, so last time we talked, it was just going through NBA workouts, and it was really struggling to try to control the stress of it all, the life of it all, where I'm going to end up, the anxiousness of the story of life, and now taking this new responsibility of adulthood and trying to see what my job and what my profession will be and where it'll be in. And, by the grace of God, we were able to land a spot on this G League team, and now we get the opportunity to play out through the year. And there's been many different things, like I was down in Denver with the Nuggets, the affiliate of the Grand Rapids Gold team that I'm on, and was able to work out with them for the last 2 months, even go on some cool trips to like Abu Dhabi, and experience a lot of things then. So that's kind of been the general of it all, just working, a lot of struggles, a lot of mental fortitude I had to grow in my faith, struggles in my faith, and even just some growth in my faith in a different way. So it's been a journey, but that's where we're at. So, I don't know, do you guys have any questions that may pop up from any of that?
So I'm going to kick this off here, and because it's coming from a kind of unique perspective that you've been through a lot in terms of your time at Basha, your time going through, a little bit of, trying to find the right college for you, West Point, SEMO, ending up at GCU, and then now finally you're, finding a home in the G League there. Physically, there's been a lot of changes that you've had to adapt to. So you've had to go from, playing in high school to playing in college, now to playing in the G League and, the NBA. So, physically, I know it's been quick for you to have to adapt. I've seen that, from your games. What about mentally, though? What about mentally? Where have you had to grow in terms of, each step that you've had to take?
Yeah. So it's funny you're saying that because you said physically I've had to grow, and the thing that was in my head the whole time, and if you were to ask the question of like what was the difference, because that's where I thought you were going. That's what everyone says. What's the difference physically between the different levels of basketball? And what I was gonna say is like before your physical can even move, you have to fix your mental to be able to be ahead so your physical can meet you there. And so for me, like I honestly think just being able to have an open door, be that sponge that can take everything in, was my secret key to it all, and I just didn't realize it at the time. And a lot of that comes with being able to swallow your pride. And so for me, like there was a ton of times, and I'm even experiencing it now in this situation, I'll be honest, where like high school, I was one of the better players on my team. And then all of a sudden I go to college and I'm the worst on the team, last off the bench. And they wanted to redshirt me.
Yep. I remember
and it was just, all right, I wanted to be good so bad. I know I have some of the capabilities. I can see it. It's just not there physically yet, but I can see the physical path of like, I can get to that destination talent-wise, but I'm just not there. And so it was being able to swallow my pride and being like, okay, I'm still learning, I'm still growing, and giving myself that grace, I guess. So with that, it just let my mind be in a state of like, okay, let's just slow down and let's be in a time to learn. And when I finally took a back seat, that's when, honestly, even before my faith kicked in, that's when God took a step forward and just kind of cleared that path for me and was like, here, like we're walking, and just walk with me and we'll clear this path together. And so I'm even experiencing that now where it's like, I was one of the better players on the GCU team. Had all of that, even getting comfortable a little bit in Denver, growing, having that confidence of like, I can play with these guys, to now coming to the G League and being like, okay, now we're on a team. Even if you have a lot of talent, you still mentally just have to mesh with everybody.
Yep.
And the new rules, the G League is such a different way of style of pace, even from the NBA.
Yeah.
And it's been a lot, and I'd say I'm in the middle of that season of just being able to learn how to trust God and swallow my own pride and put my trust in Him. And I think even just reading my Bible, that's what God's been telling me, a lot of it. So I've been reading through Daniel throughout this time, this like past week, and it's been absolutely crazy. With that, like you jump into Daniel 5. And it's Nebuchadnezzar and his son Belshazzar.
All those biblical names are too difficult.
All those biblical names. But Nebuchadnezzar was the king of Babylonia, and through it all, he was basically like praising these other gods, all this stuff. And God, at the end of it, was like, "Hey, like, you better come back to me or else you're getting stripped of everything." And he strips him of everything. He's not the king anymore. Like, he's like, but once you come back to me and know that I am your God, then I'll put you back in this throne that you have. So he finally does that. Well, now it passes down to the lineage of Belshazzar. And in it, Belshazzar invites a bunch of people. I believe it's over for dinner, something like that, and gives them like wine, all these drinks. And he's like, cheers to all these other gods. And with that, some hand came writing on the wall, and it says like Mene Mene, some Tene Teke or something like that. Basically, it translates where it's like you're worshiping other gods, like you don't see me, all this stuff, and like you will kind of come here. I'll just open up and I'll show you guys.
Yeah.
So Mene says God has numbered the days of your reign and brought it to an end. Tekel, you have been weighed on the scales and found wanting. And then Perez, your kingdom is divided and will be given to the Medes and the Persians, Medes and the Persians. And in that, it's basically saying like, with you just not honoring God, in this writing, like you were just going to lose your throne. Like, I'm sorry, like it's just been the pattern. And so, anyways, Belshazzar loses, he gets, that very night, Belshazzar, the king of Babylonians, was slain and he lost his throne. And to me, it was like the pride, like it was showing in this, like he has a lot of pride, and that's something that I think has been creeping up on me a little bit mentally, and it's just like I have to swallow my pride and be able to take coaching, take all this stuff to be able to get into that place of growing. And so this thing has been keeping me in check. And then you get to 6, and it's now Daniel's in the den of the lions, where it's basically just like, yeah, like you get thrown in the lions, like what are you gonna do? Are you just gonna trust God, or what? And so in this moment, it's like I'm in the lion den with my own pride, and it's like, am I gonna get swallowed up by my own pride, or am I just gonna sit there and trust God in the middle of it? And so with that, I'm just gonna trust God, and that's what I've been learning, and I think that's where my mental is getting back to all those times it had been, but it slowly creeps in every time you have.
It's a tricky thing because, you know, there's two things. There's ego and then there's confidence. There's the pride, then there's the confidence. There's that bravado that, you know, that is part of the ego, which says, you know, hey, I am the greatest, I am this, I am this, and I am all that, and, you know, a bag of chips too. Then there's the confidence, which is actually somewhat opposite of that. And I've seen the times where you've been, you know, that egotistical person, and you know, you just kind of got to learn on your own and just say, hey, you know, but then it's really kind of tricky because I've seen in that journey you go from that pride to the confidence where you knew within yourself that you didn't need to prove what it was that you know were doing. You just went out and did it.
Yeah.
You didn't have to tell anyone. You didn't have to do anything. You just didn't. You know, you. And it's interesting because you know, I see that kind of similarity now with, you know, you being on the G League, that you're having to almost say, you know, hey, yeah, I'm this and I'm this and I'm this, but the confidence is waning a little bit and the ego's coming up a little bit. But you know, so I'm trying to tell you sometimes, you know, just don't worry about it. Just don't worry about anything else. Don't worry about the coaches. Don't worry about this. Don't worry about that. You just do you, because that's where it lies. You know, is within yourself. Mm-hmm. So you know, it's good that you've recognized that. It's really good.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's him exploiting it all the time, convicting. You know, because at the bottom of when Belshazzar gets, you know, slain, like I have in big bold letters like fear. Because like that's like something where it's like, is my own fear, is my own pride gonna, you know, put me down? You know, is it gonna, you know, just enemy, I guess.
So then that actually leads to my next question of you know, a lot of times that insecurity and that ego are born out of fear. Mm-hmm. What are you afraid of?
I think the fear comes from my love for this sport. I'll be honest. I think it's just
what's the fear of it though?
Just not being good enough for it, or not, you know, losing it. You know, not playing to my capabilities where I know I can, and like it's almost counterintuitive if I'm gonna put it out there. Like if I can say it properly, counterintuitive where it's like I want it so bad that I am now kind of losing it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, so, because that's what fear does. That's why it's a good question to ask, and that, you know, it's like when you grip onto something so tight because you're afraid of losing it, that it seeps through your fingers. Mm-hmm. You know, you're just holding on to it so tight, and you're afraid to let go, that, you know, it just seeps through your fingers, and you know, you lose it that way, mm-hmm. instead of just understanding that, you know, it's going to be there for you.
100%. And I think that's where the pride also comes into, where with that insecurity you're protecting idols, right? Like this has become an idol to me, you know, like I've had it, I've loved it. And sometimes even though you're like, yeah, like it's not an idol, even growing up, it can come and show up again as an idol where it's like, I really want this job, like, you know, all this stuff, but what's most important? And it's like my relationship with God. And so that comes first before any of that. But, yeah, it's just getting back in that balance of, you know, he's my master, he's the one that I serve, and this is the thing I do, you know, like, he'll control that, and if he doesn't want that to happen, then okay, that's his will, you know, and I'll trust it, but I'm gonna do everything that I can in my moment, in my time where he has me placed to work, because I think he wants me to have that, you know, so.
Well, in a lot of ways, you've somewhat come too far, you know, it's interesting because I've seen your path, you know, from, you know, point A to point B to point C to point D. The interesting thing is I've also heard many opinions. You're not supposed to be there. You're gonna no, not really, and I'm sure you've heard them too. And it brings me back to the conversation that we had when you were, deciding, do you want to be an engineer? Or do you want to be a basketball player?
Both.
Yeah, you did. And you remember what I said?
No.
I said, you can be both, just not at the same time. Because, it's like you can't serve two masters. And, you can always go back to the one after the other one's done. Right? I said, but in your heart of hearts, what is it that you wanted to do? And what did you say?
I want to play basketball.
So with that decision, was it easy for you to become a basketball player?
Like, what do you mean?
Was it easy once that decision was made?
Yeah, because it was a little bit easier completely because I knew where my eyes were lined up,
And so what I'm thinking is that, when God puts you in certain positions, he makes it easy in some ways. Until you maybe get a little cocky or you may get a little bit, hey, out of your head or out of your lane. He has ways of pulling you back in, teaching you lessons along the way. And not giving it to you on a plate, but you have to work for it. You have to grind for it. But the thing that I've found is that when you go through something and you find it's not like swimming upriver, having to fight for everything, and things just kind of fall for you. And that's what I mean by, hey, there were, a lot of people didn't think you'd make it this far, but you did. And that's God clearing a path for you. You still got to work for it. But from my eyes, you've been from point A to point B to point C. You've never been that kid that's been like, oh my gosh, he's going to be A1, draft number 1 and everything like that. You've had to work for it. But there's been a certain, I don't want to even say luck because that's not even involved. A certain, what? Yes, exactly. Where it's like, okay, you're going in this direction. I'm going to give you a little help. I'm going to get you there. But you got to trust in me. And you have. And that's the thing that I see. So I look at it like you shouldn't really be afraid because fear is a killer. Fear is an absolute killer.
Exactly. And it's not an emotion that God wants.
Exactly.
Or even makes. So.
Exactly. So, you're so wanting that so bad, but understand that it's a journey, and you just got to say, all right, I'm going to leave it up to God. When he says it's done, it's done. But while I'm here, I'm going to do 1,000%. I'm not going to be afraid. Because I think that's when you're no longer afraid, is when your potential is really going to be hit too. Any potential, any kid's potential, I think. Anyone listening, if you cannot obtain things long term if you are afraid. You can't, because you can't operate out of that.
I think in the Bible there's I think I saw this. I may be wrong. We'll have to fact check it or something. But it says, "Do not be afraid." I think 365 times in the Bible. And it's like one, do not be afraid for each day of the year. And it's like it's not like there's no place for it, even in all of it, like every single day. Like there's, I don't know, that could be completely fact checked all this stuff. But there's something around that where it's like, do not be afraid. I know there's some of
because he's got you.
Yeah. Psalm 38 is do not fret, a ton. And that's kind of it. Is like, like realize God's got you. Like when Daniel, like I've gotten a new meaning for 30 on my number now. Daniel was in the story, basically the king was tricked to, not let anyone praise anybody else but the king for the next 30 days. And in that moment, Daniel was still praying 3 times a day to, God. And they caught him, they threw him in the lion's den, all this stuff. And the king was like, no, I actually like Daniel, all this stuff. And he's like, we'll let your God save you, like, please. And it's actually kind of cool. And then in there, he's like, I just trust God. Like, I knew God. Like, he knew I did nothing wrong. And so it's kind of that where it's like if I just keep believing in him, keep following him, and not to the extent of just like I'm doing it because I want things, but because like that's where my heart is, then I know he'll look at my works and just be like, works for me, and so with that, like I don't have to be worried because I know he'll protect me because I know he's going to find no wrongdoing in me just simply believing in him. That makes sense, just like Daniel did.
Yeah, totally. I think hearing you talk about like the pride and the confidence, and even you mentioned like you love it so much and you work so hard at it that you feel like you're going to lose it almost. I'll do something a little uncommon, which I'm pretty sure has never probably ever been done before. I'm going to mix a Bible verse and a Mike Stud song lyric in the same sentence and see if this makes sense. But there's this song lyric from just Mike. He is now the artist Mike, and it says, "You got to find what you love and let it kill you." Kind of in the sense of like you got to find what you love and just let it beat you down over and over and over and over again, and keep getting back up and proving to yourself that I can do this no matter how many times I have a bad performance. I'm going to wake up the next day, I'm going to put it all in again. You got to find what you love and let it kill you. And then on the other side, Matthew 6:33 is a verse that I kind of live my life around, or attempt to at least, obviously not perfect in it. It's, but seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. And so in that sense, it's kind of talking about if you want all these other things in life, so often we pursue these dreams and goals, and we pursue the riches and the fame and all that kind of stuff, and we never find it because we're not rooted in the right things. But God tells us, no, like seek me first, seek my kingdom and my righteousness, be in the Bible every day, attend church, put yourself in communities where you can grow around other like-minded Christians. And my thought process around that and question for you is, how do you balance like finding what you love and letting it kill you, and like pursuing basketball every single day and getting in the gym and getting better at all aspects of your game, but then also understanding in order for me to have success in this area, I have to be rooted in Christ. Mm-hmm. Like how do you find time for that in your day, in your schedule, in your routine to ensure that God is the number one thing in your life, even though to the entire rest of the world they're saying, Gabe wants to be a professional basketball player, he's in the G League, surely that sport is the number one thing in his life. Like how do you balance all that?
Yeah, I think ultimately like it comes down to, well, two things. The first thing I'm going to say is like when you get so rooted in this and like you've started like, almost digesting it like it's just your daily bread, right? Like it's your food, like it's feeding you and it's feeding your heart and everything that you have, that it starts becoming who you are. And there was plenty of times where I wasn't necessarily eating the right things. I wasn't eating my knowledge from the Bible like every day this summer. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you that my diet, it was off. Like I could feel things off in my spirit, how like if you're eating regular food and you're eating all this junk food, your body just feels like it's kind of crumbling. It's not moving as fast. You're not getting that right fuel. If you have a Ferrari or something and you're putting in, regular unleaded instead of, what is it, Supreme?
You're feeding your soul.
Yeah.
Junk food.
100%. And, which is worldly things. And, so when you're not really on that path, you just feel not right. You feel friction in the way that you kind of live. Even if it's not like deeply rooted in sin, it's maybe just not really looking at God or trusting him, just kind of have a wandering eye that, it can have that weight. And so in that sense, God will pull you back just in general. Like, if you have that heart, like he'll pull you back. And that's what he's been doing to me. He's been, there's been times where I'm hanging on by a thread, and he's been trying to, hey, come on. Like, I need you back.
Now, is there a correlation? Let me ask you this. Is there a correlation between your ego and that junk?
100%, because I have a wandering eye. Exactly.
Yes.
But back to what I was saying. Sorry.
No,
but you're completely right.
Yeah.
But back to like what I was saying with that is, there have been many times where, I may have been pulling away, just with that pride, leaning into this and putting my pride or my hopes a little bit too far into basketball instead of my hope in the Lord, and that kind of led me astray. But can you say the beginning to your question again?
Yeah. Just kind of how you find a balance between that, because it would seem like in your case the only thing and the thing at the top of your list should be basketball because you
Yes.
want to make the NBA, you want to be doing all those things.
So with everything that I was saying is like, even with the wrongdoings, or not even the wrongdoings, just the friction, you know, that it has when you're not like necessarily walking directly on that path. Same thing goes on the contrary, where it's everything that I do is my ministry. You know,
Yeah.
me just being Gabe is my ministry for the Lord, right? And everyone has this idea is like, oh, if you want to be in ministry, go be a minister, right? Well, that's not necessarily the case. You know, you could be a janitor working at like a high school, a janitor working at a hospital or something like that, going in and cleaning up someone's room, and all of a sudden, you know, someone just like, hey, there's something different. Why do you come into work smiling every day? He's like, because like, you know, this is just what I do. But who I am is like loving the Lord, and I know He has me covered. And my job is, even as a janitor, is I know I can make that patient smile. I know I can make that patient's day. I know I can make your living in this little bit of a nightmare that you may be going through in this hospital a little bit brighter, a little bit cleaner, even if I don't say a word to you. And so with that being said, it's like, yes, this is what I do, but it's not who I am, right? Who I am as a Christian, and who I am is like someone who was always going to praise God and point up to Him. But basketball is what I do, and I love that. But my heart is for the Lord, and honestly, like, I don't even have to speak about God. I hope people can see it. You know, when I'm out on the court, I hope people can see me playing with that little extra effort, you know, and knowing that, like, dang, there's something different about that kid. Why is he playing a little bit faster? Why is he playing a little bit harder than everybody else? Or why does he even have a smile, you know? Why is he not, you know, engaging in some of the crap that may be floating around, you know, that's on the court, like all the, you know, bad calls or stuff, all the adversity. Why is he handling it different? And I don't even have to say a word about it. I don't even have to really show people. It's just hopefully people can see it. And so that's where, for me, like, even if people think that's my main thing, that's what I'm praising, that's my God, like, I know in my heart, God knows where my heart is too. And I just hope that people can see it, and hope people can see Him through it, right? And you had a part 2 to that too.
Maybe it was more so on. I know I mentioned the balance a little bit of like following Christ throughout all that, but then the perception of this should be your main focus, or even the aspect of like you've been very outspoken about your faith, and like does that ever feel like hard sometimes to know that like I don't want anyone to think that like I'm doing this just so I can get the gospel out, even though your intention is to be a basketball player, and like our job is discipleship on this earth, and to get out and to spread the you know the
Good
name and the
news.
love of Christ. And you've done a very good job about that. But is it difficult at times to think to yourself like, man, I don't want people to feel like I'm standing on a street corner, like I just want to get really big just so I can do this? And does that worry you, like of organizations and things like that, feeling like that's your only, you know, purpose and things like that?
I mean, I think it did a little bit. Like, I'll be honest, I think that's why a lot of things slowed down for me on the social media and like that platform side of everything this summer, just because, you know, I was living a little bit in that fear. You know, I wanted basketball a lot. I wanted to, you know, show everyone that I could play basketball, and, you know, whether it be through faith or even through the social media stuff, I didn't want people to see it as a distraction. But ultimately, like, I'm at the point where it's like I'm just gonna be me, you know, and I'm just gonna let my fruits be my fruits instead of having to, you know, put on a persona or put on, you know, a different side of me, or even just limit myself down to what people think I am capable of, or think of what I can handle, and really let that take hold of, I guess, my career and my purpose instead of, and that's where I think the pride started slipping in early, I'll be honest, as I started keeping all my fruits kind of to myself.
Yeah.
And so that was actually like quite a big battle, and I mean, we can definitely dive into that way deeper, because that has, I could go for hours and hours on that and what I've been learning. But through that all, I mean, I think I'm just, right now I'm at the point where it's like, just trust God, right? Because if people see me too much as Christian, or like, you know, too much as a social media influencer, whatever you want to call it, then I don't get that because of it. I mean, it hurt, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, if all my work's for God and I don't get the job because, you know, I'm doing stuff for God,
Yeah.
then it wasn't from God, you know, and so that, and I know He'd have me taken care of at the end of the day, you know, that I truly believe He would, and you know, my hope is definitely like people could see my heart, people could see my heart for Him, but also see my heart for this too. But at the end of the day, like, yeah, this comes first. And it's not like shoving it in people's face. It's just me living it and me showing who I am as a Christian. Like, this is me.
Well, and you're one of, you know, thousands of athletes, you know, that are Christian. Mm-hmm. And they say every day, you know, hey, I want to thank, every time, you know, they're on TV, I want to thank the Lord and everything like that. Without Him, nothing would happen, you know. And, you know, you've, you know, I've seen you kind of shy away from that a little bit too. And, you know, that is actually a person, you know, who you are, part of who, it is who you are. So, you know, don't shy away from it, you know, because of, don't be afraid.
Mm-hmm. And I think too, like, your work ethic proves that how important this is to you, this right here.
Let my fruits be my fruits.
You know, like, it's clear in the way that you work and go about, and the frustration of fouling out in 15 minutes or whatever it was last night. Like, you don't come off the floor and you're like, oh shoot,
throwing a chair.
I fouled out. Like, oh, at least I have, like, you know what? It's like you're pissed off. Like, you want to be in the game, you want to be succeeding. Everyone knows your goal in life is to be an amazing, fantastic basketball player, and you are currently, and you've done a lot at the Division I level, obviously, and you're going to continue to grow. But it's clear that is there by how you know, you work on and off the court and by the people closest to you. And so it's just having confidence in yourself and, like, you know who you are, you know.
Let me say a very important point too. This is something that I've actually told a lot of people, and they can attest to it. And every time, you know, that I say, hey, you know, Gabe's doing this, and I have a bunch of people at work following you and everything like that, and just, you know, people that know. And one of the questions they say is like, you must be very proud. And actually I say, no, I'm not actually. You know what I say, which is, you know, I say basketball is not who he is. If basketball, you know, if he doesn't make it, if he doesn't do another step in basketball, that's not going to determine whether I'm proud of him or not. I'm proud of him because of the person he is.
Yeah.
You know, that's what matters. I said he could be doing, you know, digging ditches, garbage. I said that both my sons, you know, I said, I do not care what you do. That does not matter to me. The thing that makes me happy is if you're happy and if you are the person that I can be proud of. And that's what makes me proud. And I tell everyone that, because the life of basketball, you know, what we do in this country is so, in some ways, central to a lot of people of who I am, that it's kind of like once you lose that, they're lost. Yeah. And I even know you went through that a little bit with your, you know, ankle injury, you know. Just actually talk about that. Talk about what happened to you when you know, it wasn't your ankle, it was knee, sorry. Mm-hmm. What happened there?
That's where my faith began, to be honest.
Yeah, but you had to go through this low point, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's patterns in this world. I think definitely there's a lot of things that are written on the same, you know, I guess, algorithm, frequency, or whatever. Things just fall in a pattern, and just like that, like, it's like you go through a valley, right? You have to survive the valley to start climbing upwards, and then all of a sudden you reach the hilltop. And the hilltop, you know, you can have some stuff there, but then it goes back down. And so, like, anyways, this was sorry, that was just kind of, I like viewing stuff in patterns, but
it's your engineer brain, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's correlation there.
I don't know, if you're around me enough, you'll hear, like, I just like seeing things in patterns. Like, that's a pattern, you know, like different gifts or skills that can translate to other things, or different things that are, you know, similarities to other things. And so for me, this knee was the worst thing, so I should have gained the best thing, right? So I went through that, and honestly, when I got injured, it was just like, dang, this is the worst thing.
And when was this?
This was 2019, October 4th.
And where were you at?
I was at Grand Canyon. I was redshirting
Practice.
It was the morning of Midnight Madness. And
I just think of the hype too, like getting so excited to be a part of that experience.
I was redshirting. Honestly, the team, we weren't too good that year, and I'll be honest, like they just needed someone who had energy and could rebound, could lift people up, glue people together, and that's what that year's team missed. And so honestly, I think it was the injury that saved me from pride, but it also gave me the best gift to get me out of pride. And through that, I was so excited. Like, it was like, I can't wait to dunk. Everyone's going to see how I can dunk in this dunk contest that we have.
Pride.
Yeah.
It was a lot of pride.
It was like, I'm a red shirt, I'm going to be sitting out. And then I just, in my head, in the back of my head, I was like, I wonder what people will say, if we start losing. Man, Gabe, we need you.
Yeah.
I'll be there. Like, they're doing fine, And then just imagine what that would have done up here. And so with that, it saved me from a lot of pride. I think it was the biggest thing. And when I didn't go down. I finished practice, and coach was like, "Hey, you all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll be fine." Anyways, went to the athletic trainer. He checked me out, did some tests, and he was like, "Oh, crap. Like, it doesn't look good." And basically wasn't able to do Midnight Madness that night, even if I didn't have the results yet. And then I got the results the next day. Dan Marley calls me, and he's like, "Hey, you tore your meniscus." Or he didn't even tell me. He was like, "Yeah, so you're going to be all right. Your meniscus is torn." I was like, "It's torn?" He's like,
"I'm not going to be all right." What do you mean?
Well, he was like, "Jordy hasn't told you yet? Your athletic trainer hasn't told you yet?" And I was like, "No." And he's like, "Oh, well, you tore it." You tore it. It's like, "Thank you." Anyways, I was outside the athletic training building, literally walking there. I walk in, and Jordy's like, and I'm like, "He already told me. Like, Dan already told me. Don't worry." He's like, "Okay." And then, like, I remember, I don't know if I told this verbally to Jordy or not, or if I just simply kept it to myself and maybe even told a friend or whatever. But I was like, honestly, like, even just that way it was told to me kind of let me have the relief of, like, being in shock or the anticipation of, like, when I'm getting the news, like, what's it going to be, and the build up to fall back down, right? The valley to the highs, to the lows. Like, I didn't have that in the results being told to me. Like, it was just like, "Hey, we're going to be all right. You tore it, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
And with that, it was like, well, this is one of the worst things that's happened to me. I've done this my whole life. Now I don't have it. Who am I? And for some reason, I just had this in my head. And honestly, I think it was from him. It was like, this is the worst thing that's going to happen to me. Well, I mean, honestly, like, it's got to balance out. -1 + 1 = 0, right? So if I have a -1 with this, there must be a major +1 with this. But it was like mine's million. This is like, there must be a +1,000,000 coming. And so I was like, okay, well, this sucks, but I mean, let's chase after it. And so there was a lot of struggles, and it was up and downs all the way through that journey. But then eventually I started finding God. And I had a little bit of a relationship before, or I knew about him, but I never had a relationship with him. And that's what really grew then. And October 30th, I surrendered my life to Christ, rededicated my life to Christ, and then February 2nd, 2020, I got baptized. Crazy, a week after Kobe passed, because I was supposed to get baptized on Kobe's incident, and for some reason, like, they're just, "Hey, we're just gonna cancel it today, and we'll move it to next week," and then all of a sudden, get out of church when I'm supposed to be getting dunked, getting dipped. That's when the news dropped, and I was like, no way.
Yeah.
And so it was weird, like, it was even like God's like, "Hey, we'll just, kind of move your new baptism day to another a week later, just for no reason, just
well, that's the thing, there's always a reason.
There's always a reason.
And that's the thing, when you look back at that trial, and you see the person you are now, do you see that you needed that to happen?
100%.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, from saving me from pride, even just like, I need him.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, this is one of the best things that ever happened to me. And it's weird because now if you want to talk about, like, how this is the worst thing and the best thing, when you compare them together, like, usually the best thing always triumphs from, the things that have to balance out. It's usually like, I had to go through this, and then I'll take this because it's so good. So honestly, like, I wouldn't change anything. And I think that's kind of a pattern in life. If you have something really bad happen, there's going to be something that comes out of it. And usually the thing that comes out of it, you won't want to sacrifice anything else for it. So even all the bad that you had to get to this reward of, like, struggle, all this stuff, like you'll take it all because this always wins. And so I've kind of learned that, and I think that's a pattern in life. Is whenever struggle happens,
That's when you grow.
that's when you grow, and that growth is something that you can now put on your mantle and be like, yeah, God taught me this, and you can carry it forever. And so that's something with this. And honestly, like one of the coaches, I had two, I'll say okay games, but if we're being honest, they were not good games to start off the season for the G League. And I've always known sometimes it takes me a while to get in the pool, right? Like I dip my toe in, and then it's like okay, and then you got to get comfortable. But like,
Because you're in your head too, bud.
yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of other things with it too, in my opinion. But it's a mix of everything. But I know he's in control, and I know it's just it's been a pattern for me too that I do need a break, but to struggle. And I mean, Romans 3-5 is one of my favorites too. It talks about glory in your sufferings, because sufferings produces, through perseverance, character, hope in love in the Lord, all this stuff. And that's been something for me. And so it's like, even through these two games, like, yeah, I could be upset, all this stuff, but I think written on the tablet of my heart, like, it's like, like, I know God's got me, and my hope's in Him, and just seeing the patterns of what He's put me through, it's like, yeah, we're gonna be all right.
Yeah, and I think like God's faithful too, and it's like the power of going through hard things early in your life produces so much maturity, because you understand now that God's got me. Like, and that's such a tough thing to figure out. There are people that don't realize that, until they're until they're this guy's age, and then it's like trouble.
Oh man, here.
Sorry for a stray bullet here.
Yeah, just took me out.
Yeah, right. Exactly, my fault. But like, it's so important to understand that, like, throughout your life, like, there are going to be so many difficult things that you go through, and like adversity, but like, just as you and the whole saying of like tough times produce strong people or whatever.
Absolutely.
And that's just so important. And even like you talked about, like, kind of straying away from God, and like you develop pride and all this egotistical side of yourself and all these things, like, as we all do. That's not an individual struggle. We all go through that, especially when I'm playing Call of Duty, as I am today. Like, I am full of myself.
Wait a minute, wasn't it Fortnite? Wasn't it,
Fortnite, yeah.
Fortnite, it's everything.
Fortnite.
If it's a game with a controller, I'm elite. But anyway, see, there's the pride talking. Anyway, but like, God's faithfulness, like in every other relationship, when you are bad to someone or you run away from them, you're here, they're here, you're running away, and they're staying here or they're getting away from you too. God, you're right here, He's here. You keep trying to run away from Him, He's sticking right there with you. He's always going to be alongside you and pursuing you, even when you feel like you're in that valley. Like, I have no faith right now. Like, I'm struggling so much. I have no clue what the point of you tearing my meniscus on the morning of Midnight Madness is. But He's going to continue to show you that He's faithful. And, in that moment, you're probably thinking to yourself, like, what does this mean for me? Like, how am I going to perceive the rest of my career, or specifically with GCU? And now you look back, and I would say you had a pretty successful career, did a lot of things that nobody at GCU has ever done from an individual and from a team basis, made it to March Madness, and if a couple shots go your way, who knows where that run goes, So you got a lot to look back on and be proud of. And like you said, even if you view these first two G League games as a -1 or whatever, which some people might not view them as, but if you do in that way, there's a pretty good +1 coming, and I know you're confident about that, which is exciting.
It should be exciting, and sometimes it's a drawn-out +1.
Exactly.
Of course.
You might not get the benefit.
But that's the thing.
Sometimes
You want to be at a certain level at a certain time, and that's not necessarily God's plan. And that's the thing. You're like, I want to be here at this date, at this time, and I want to be, and that's the pride. And you're just like, I should be here. Actually, I've paid my dues. I've done the basketball thing. I should be here. But for some reason, you still have either something to learn. God's just saying, hey, you have something to learn still. I'm gonna, hold you back, or you have something to learn. That's usually what it is. If you didn't, tear your meniscus, you not looking back and saying that was the best thing in your life, and when you tore it, if you didn't tear it, who knows where you'd be today? You might actually not even be playing basketball for some unforeseen reason, because you were now on a different path. And, you went further and further away, like you were saying, it's always interesting though when you look back at things, the lessons you can learn, and you can see almost like you were saying the pattern of why it happened. And that's the thing. You always have to keep that in mind when you're going forward, especially at your age.
Yeah.
Because I know it's easy to forget.
Yeah.
You know, why is this happening to me right now? Why is this so, tough for me right now?
Yeah.
But a year later, 6 months later, something like that, you look back and you go, oh, okay, I had to do something first, learn the lesson, and that's the key too, learn. Because if you're not going to learn it, you're going to probably repeat it. Because God's going to say, I'm going to keep putting this in front of you until you learn it.
Yeah.
That's my sage advice to you young gentlemen there as you go out into the world.
Mm-hmm. I'm a little bit younger than Gabe, but, whatever. It's fine.
He's a baby over there.
Baby over there. So that's what I can say to you. But, another question that I actually have is more... it's more on the personal side, actually. So it steps away from basketball a little bit, and it
I'm nervous right now.
goes towards the goes towards.
How much time we have left?
So, actually, I don't even really have a question. To be honest with you, I was just messing with you. I was seeing if I forgot.
He's
out.
I wasn't on
I
the
totally,
whole time.
it's like midnight. And I'm like, I'm fading fast. I'm just
No,
out.
what's the question? What's the question? You have something.
No,
I know
I was
you.
actually
I
going
know
to say,
you.
you've actually, the question is actually really personal in that, I've seen you go through so much and sacrifice a lot for basketball. How do you think that kind of, in some ways, you missed out on little things here, little things there, just the kind of maybe, general growing up, maybe seeing a lot of countries that you were not able to because you were in basketball, and, vacations that you missed because, the season in, college is, year round. It's not, you don't get that summer break like everyone else does. Do you miss that? Do you see the difference of that, and do you miss some aspects of that, in your life?
I mean, yeah, yeah, and that's been hard, as an athlete, spending your weekends, on away trips or something like that, having to, play, or even in college, you see all these people doing college things, and you're on an away trip, thousands of miles away, sitting in a hotel. Or, the nights where you just want to go walk the streets of campus and you're in your room studying, trying to knock out some homework because you have a big game that you got coming up or practice in the morning, and even just sleeping in. Yeah. That's nice. People being like, oh, I have a 9 a.m. And you're like, wow.
I would kill for a 9 a.m. wake up.
Kill for that. I would do anything. So it's that, and FOMO, fear of missing out, definitely seeps in with a lot of different things. Even as a kid, I think a lot of my childhood was kind of shortened because of it.
Yes.
And sometimes you think and you wonder, what would that be like? I don't know, having 2 classes a day, what that look like, even just one, or having an off day in the middle of your week, whoa, our off days went to school, and so it's very interesting. But the one thing that I do know and that I'll cling to is God always makes you whole, and he also gives you a different story, and so my story is a little bit different, with the times that I was thousands of miles away. I was in Texas. Maybe places people haven't been.
Yeah.
Now, it could have been snowing, like crazy, and we had to stay inside. But it's also what you do with that opportunity. I hadn't really ever seen snow, so it's going outside in the middle of a snowstorm, building little mini snowmen out there, chucking the worst snowballs of your life ever because they explode in midair.
They're made of half gravel.
Yeah, right? And
any of those hit the coach, by the way? Yeah, what did there?
Yeah. So it's like having those moments and those memories, and even just having a little bit different types of bonds with so many different types of guys because of your teammates. It just gives you a different perspective. And honestly, I think on both sides of the rope, both sides of the fence, people are looking at it kind of envious.
Absolutely, and that's why I brought it up.
There's always that eye of just being envious. And I think about Q when it comes to this. Q's always like, man, I wish I played basketball. I wish I played soccer. Because he's like, I could have been so good. I think I could have been so good. And he sees Aiden and I, both playing D1 sports. And, our careers kind of going in that direction. That he's sitting there being like, man, what's it like to be an athlete, And I think he is. Like, I think he just has, an athlete type persona to him. And he could have. But, that's not what he chose. And I mean, he's lived a completely different life. And honestly, some of that I'm like, wow, you get to go and do some free stuff. Like, you get to go be free a little bit. And so it's like both sides of it. I see his story and I see my story. And it's like we both can look at it and take parts that's like, yeah, I'm kind of like a little bit jealous of that. And he's learning different tools that, God may be sharpening in his shed for his story. And God sharpening different tools in my life for my story. And so there's that. But that does, I mean, it has a little bit of its, repercussions with it. Like, I'm still trying to learn what my hobbies are. And I think this summer it was a big, like, what's my hobbies? What are my hobbies?
Well, yeah, you're not studying anymore. You graduated.
Find
you have
things to do with my time.
You have a lot of time now.
I can't practice all the time.
That's what most of it was.
Like, that was a hobby. It was at the bottom of the list.
Backstabbing's everywhere today.
But no, it has been a hobby. Even just like kind of learning what my taste is, for being honest. Like, I've loved juicing. That's been like honestly super consistent for me.
Which is a unique
that I've
thing.
come back to. And it's like, wow, like I can make juice.
Totally.
Hey, what do you want? You want an orange one, red one, green one?
I want that green one.
Off. The green one?
I want that green one.
Green apples, celery, kale, kiwis, and then we'll throw in a lemon or a lime.
I don't know about that ginger in there though.
We'll throw ginger, of course.
Ginger's
Always
good.
need ginger. Always need ginger. And so like we can
Ginger
just
clears you up. Makes your man.
Oh, I know. I've been feeling it the
Hair
last
on the
2 days.
chest. Yeah.
Trust me.
exactly like.
The only thing I'm coughing so much is that ginger stuck in my.
Hey,
You're a newbie to it. That's okay. Look at you. That's
I
right.
guess so.
yeah, it's
I
just
didn't even
been,
taste it going down.
it's been fun. And then also like one thing that I've always known, for me is like I have hobbies. I just don't know how to like minimalize them where they're not like the big major hobbies. Like I can't wait because this is so exciting. Like, you guys are in my new place, right? We may not be here long, right? Like the longest this lease is gonna go for is 5 months, right? The G League like houses us, all this stuff. So it's been nice to have my own apartment. But it's nice kind of having my own space where it's like, okay, I could decorate it. And like, honestly, that's a huge hobby of mine. I love interior design. Like, I can't wait. It looks bare, but I guarantee you, if we do another episode like this.
It looks clean right now. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's just a couple lights. But we have some stuff. We have a giant, like, look at this. We have a giant fan that's ready to go up. Like, can't wait for it. So, we got a ton of different stuff. But, like, that's something that I think I actually am a little bit passionate about.
Yeah.
Even just, like, I think I want to rebuild a car one day. I think that would be amazing, put in the little engineering side, but then also the business side of it all. Like, I'd love to, have a startup of some sort. And I think that would be amazing.
Clothing brand.
Yeah, a clothing brand. Like, that is in the works, and it's just figuring out the little pieces that we can put together. Even just helping people. Like, that is something impacting people. And so it's very frustrating when I'm talking about my hobbies, and that this summer I've kind of snuffed my own flame of one of my hobbies, of like helping and impacting people.
Yeah.
And that's who God made me to be. And it doesn't even have to be anything. It's just be a light, and that light is a little flame. And to me, I kind of snuffed it and it went out. And so, I just want to get back to like all this stuff,
Yeah.
Get back to it. And find more hobbies to do. Like, I love to travel. But all those things are way too big to do in a regular, lifestyle setting.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't have a house before. I can't really design it. If I do, I'm moving in a couple months. This one, I feel like it's just my own place, so I have all free will.
That's interesting, though. It's just that, you actually, I just thought of an idea there. in that, I'm sure there's a lot of people that are in your similar circumstance where they don't have the permanency of a home, and yet they want to decorate it the way they want to decorate it, or it might be the time that they want to decorate it. Might be an opportunity for you to like make something, or make it so it's easy, because one of the things you were talking about is you don't want to get a lot of furniture because it's all the stuff that you might have to either give away or you might have to break down, sell, whatever. You can't transport it because it costs too much to where
some
you're
type
going.
of renting service or something like that.
Something to where hey, like the fan, it goes into a very much smaller shape or something like that. You can take it with you, and then to your next place where you can decorate a place like this, and then minimize it down to a very small thing. Who knows? I don't know. All I know is I want 10%.
You guys can't see it, but we have
I'll take 50.
It's a good idea. But up there we have like little scrolls, like the little Japanese scrolls that's our wall art. Check out another video, there'll be some panoramics, or not panoramic, B-roll, all this stuff, but
we're teasing.
Write it down.
We're teasing everything today.
I know. But yeah, I don't know. Like that could be a good idea. Just like different bundles. The Japanese bundle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. How to decorate a house.
The thoughts are just running.
The
right now.
bohemian style.
With minimalism, or on 3 suitcases.
The minimalism of like the minimalism design on the minimalism style would be so easy.
Be sick.
Just air.
Let's make it happen.
Just
exactly.
air.
You open it up there. We're gonna sell
air.
We're gonna scam a lot of people.
It's just box,
It's just
air.
box.
It's just like poof.
Wait, there's nothing in here. That's what you think.
No way.
Yeah.
This is the minimal
This is
set.
the most-
Literally, this is as minimal.
That's it.
This is so clean, literally. There's nothing.
That
here.
is the next invention after the pet rock.
Yeah.
Hey,
Exactly.
That could be good.
That's clean.
No, that actually is a good idea. And just figuring out how to actually, make it a product would be cool. Just something that could benefit people's lives, I think would be great. And it's kind of cool because I found that through the social media side of it all. I think that's why something that's kind of called me a little bit, put a little weight on my heart, where it's like, not everything's about making money, all this stuff, but it's just about, like how can you make certain areas better than before you left it or whatever, or before you found it. And that would be this. Like maybe it's just like even posting stuff about on social media. Like, hey, if you have an idea of this, it's just benefiting people with that. Or even what I've been doing is just like sharing more of my heart is with the Lord, my journey. That's ultimately where my posts on Instagram came from. That's where probably a lot of people found me from, is from Instagram.
Yeah.
It's probably where you found me from.
Yeah. Well, I found you on campus.
That's very true.
Called room in a box.
Room in a box. That would be good.
That's not bad.
That is not bad at all.
Yeah.
RUMINEABOX. Room in a box. Trademark it now. Do the math.
That pending.
Yeah, exactly.
Patent.
Exactly.
That would be good. That actually is a good one. And people can pick stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely.
You can pay more to do custom as opposed to just getting like a set. You can like mix and match.
That's what I was thinking. Like these are your main ones. All this stuff.
Exactly.
Room in a box.
Different motifs, different
Exactly.
bedroom, one for bedroom, one
Yeah, I
for
have like
kitchen.
I have like a Houston box, and it's like specific things to me, and people can like buy that, and like that'll be a bestseller, because obviously there's like things about me that like everybody wants.
Is that thing still on? I can't even see now.
This guy's stone cold face over here.
The ego that's coming from him.
I'm sitting here thinking what it would be. It'd be like, some baseball caps.
Exactly.
It'd be a gaming controller.
It'd be a game controller, and then
that
it'd be
has to have the buttons.
then it'd be Fortnite
I gotta have my
somewhere in
paddles.
there.
Yeah, literally. And then what? You need
There'd be some chicken and the biscuits in there too. You throw a couple in
chicken
there.
and the biscuits.
Don't forget
Yeah,
don't forget the dried up ginger too.
Exactly. You have to have that in there.
You have to have it.
Yeah.
It's a new favorite.
Have to have it.
Apparently.
But yeah, just stuff like that would be little hobbies to fill the time. So that's what we've been trying to do. That's what we've been trying to learn. So it's been a season of learning. But it's been very cool. Very, very cool. I think one of the coolest things that I've learned also with those hobbies is I've gotten more into just like seeing things as they are. you know, like in the beauty that it has, almost from a cinematic viewpoint, you know, like, oh, that's a good shot.
Yeah.
You know?
That stuff's so fun, too.
So fun. And the coolest thing is, when I wasn't hearing from God this summer, there was a long time where I was like, God, where are you? And there was a time where I was like, he's not answering me. And I'm like, okay, I've had this happen before, but I'm just kind of like, where are you? And part of it's like, is it because of me? Like, I know I have some pride in you, but I just am trying to put my hope in you. And I'm putting it a lot in that. And it's a lot harder to take your hope out of something and put it in him. When, you know, when you have that big, you know, life challenge in front of you of like, what's next? And so it was like trying to take that hope, and it's like, I'm trying, God, and I think this is what you want me to learn, but I don't know how you want me to learn it, but I'm not hearing from you on how to learn it. And so in that moment, it was just stop trying to hear from him, instead just try to look at him.
Yeah.
You know, how about you learn him instead of learn from him? And that's, I was sitting outside, and honestly just got off the phone with a friend, and I was just sitting there, and I said something to them, and it's like almost like you know how you speak some advice, and it's just like, oh, I can use that too. A little
Yeah, exactly.
Bit, you know?
Right?
And,
I'm speaking to myself.
yeah, I was like, dang, and it hit me like a rock. Like, it hit me. I was helping
Isn't
someone.
that so funny how that happens?
It was the craziest
How
thing.
you're like, I like this is. I'm telling you what I should be doing, but I'm not living that in my own life at all.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like,
And it was the wildest thing, and I don't even remember what it was, but I think it was someone like trying to find a relationship that was pursuing God, right? And it wasn't really like pursuing it all the way. And I gave like different little points, and in it was like, okay, make sure your heart's right. Like, are you wanting those things, you know, in your life? And then the second thing was just like, make sure you're wanting that in your person too, right? And then the fourth one was when it hit me, and it was like, but also make sure you're looking at who he actually is and what he actually wants for you too.
yeah.
And it was the first part that I said that I was like, oh crap. And I don't even know if that's verbatim what I said. I can like look up my notes of what I said, because I think I wrote it down. But I was like, look at who he is. And I was like, I don't. And so I just literally, after the phone call ended, I just hung up the phone, and I just sat outside, and it was nice, like mid 75, 80s in Denver, and it was like nice and blue skies, all this stuff, and I was just sitting outside, and I was like, look at who God is. And I was like, well, God, like, I want to learn who you are. Like, teach me something about you that I usually don't look at. And all of a sudden, instead of like birds flying in the V formation of like migration V, whatever, like these just bunch of birds just swooped like right over my head. And I was like, whoa, that was kind of cool. That was sick.
Oh, that's so sick.
And I was like, holy crap. Like, that's something that God has in this world that he controls everything, that to me could just be gone in the blink of an eye, and I don't even think about it. And it's like, wow. And I was like, you know what, like, I also said this, I think this was step 3 that I told that person, is like, invite God into it. Make sure he's the foundation, right? Like, make sure he's there. And I was like, well, I want to invite God to my everyday life. Why does he just have to be in a relationship? Like, why can't he just be there in everyday life? Like, why do I have to go to him in prayer, ask for these things? Why not just pray, hey, I'm telling you about my day today. So I got basketball practice. I have, you know, my dad in Houston in town, all this stuff. And it's like, Lord, I just pray that you're there with me. And I hope you show up whenever you want to show up.
Yeah.
I'll just keep an eye out for you. And that was a prayer I prayed, you know, throughout that whole time in Denver. And I need to get back on it, I'll be honest, because it was a fun prayer.
Yeah.
But it was just cool seeing God show up in so many different ways. You know, through the birds, through the rustling in the trees, through, you know, just random crosses that you see just out of, you know, some buildings, all this stuff. And then you just start looking at the actual beauty in all of it.
Yeah.
And there was so many cool interactions, and you see God in so many different ways. And so that became the thing where it's like, God, like, let me see the beauty. And it's like, it could be in a relationship that you have, you know, with one of the coaches, like something good happened, or, you know, you made someone smile, like, just so many different things of whether it be interacting with his people, interacting with his creation, or simply just admiring who he is. And all three of those things just show glory to him and honor him. And so that became the cool thing. And that's what honestly like made me stop and start smelling the roses and start, you know what, God has me here. Why am I looking for an answer when he has me in this moment?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden that changed my mindset of putting my hope in that into him, because now I'm just looking at the beauty of him. It became really cool. So
Yeah.
I don't even know how I got on that, but that was something where I wasn't hearing God, but I started looking for him. And all of a sudden he came back.
Yeah.
In a different way. And I learned something completely new. Like he's an artist.
Totally.
He's good.
And I think it's funny too, because a lot of times we'll go looking for him in one direction, and he'll be like, I'm proud of you for looking at me in this way. I'm going to steer you slightly to the side, and that's where I am. You know what I mean? Like, my senior year, my junior year of high school, I didn't play basketball. I just decided I was going to focus on soccer. And spring came around, and I got super, super sick with COVID, and then our season got canceled. So junior year was just done. That was just it. Didn't get a junior year of soccer in the spring. So all that happens, COVID happens throughout 2020 or whatever. Basketball season comes around. I decide, hey, you know what? It's my senior year. I'm going to go out for basketball. Decide to go out and went through all the, like, this was just after losing a soccer season. So I'm like, it'd been like 8 months. I'm finally excited to play a high school sport again. Go through all the, and we couldn't use basketball. So it was essentially cardio for 3 months for basketball. We finally get like 3 days before our first game, find out I get cut. And so I'm like, obviously incredibly depressed. Like, I just lost junior soccer season, put in all this work for basketball, and then get cut 3 days before, which is like a whole thing in and of itself. It was kind of a ridiculous situation. But so that was like taken away from me. And so all of that becomes suddenly God. Like, I pursued this, like I'd filmed all this stuff, like doing all this vlog stuff of like kid going out for senior year basketball after not playing for you, like all this stuff, and how it was gonna be so cool. And I just get cut, and I remember leaving the gym, and I was so angry at God, and just thinking like, God, like what's the point of this? Like, and at the beginning of 2021, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer too. So it was like all these things happening again and again and again and again, and it was like, I feel like you're not giving me anything right now. And like I had re-fallen in love with basketball, like I was so excited. And then, because I couldn't play basketball, I decided like, oh, maybe I'll do this like broadcasting thing for basketball, and I'll like kind of focus on this. Ended up like putting my all into it, fell in love with it. Like it was the only thing I ever wanted to do. I'd listen to Gus Johnson and Kevin Harlan broadcasts every single night in my room, like trying to perfect my craft and get better and better and better. Ultimately was able to get a job with GCU in college and do broadcasting on ESPN Plus. And like, if I would have been able to play, right, let's go, shameless plug right there. If I would have made basketball that year or made the team or whatever, I never would have probably done broadcasting in that situation. Never would have got the job at GCU, never would have been able to help have that job pay for my college tuition. Like, a moment where I was like so pissed off at God and like depressed and had all these thoughts running through my head. Like, God basically told me in that moment, like, I'm happy that you want to like bond with this team and play basketball and do all these things that you love and show me glory, but like, here's where you need to be doing this, and this is the path that I have for you. And I just think that's so humbling, because it's like I have these plans for myself, and I'm like, this is what I want to be doing, God. Like, this is where I want to be. And he sometimes just says, like, that's not where you're supposed to be, and he puts you in the spot where you are supposed to be, and that's just so encouraging, and kind of the hope of the gospel, I think, too, is like, you might have no clue what it's supposed to look like, but God will lead you in that direction and show you where you're supposed to be. And that's just super fun, I think. And it's just so cool to just like know that we have a God that cares about us, you know. Mm-hmm. It's so cool, and a God that is alive in our lives constantly. And yeah, it just kind of gives me chills even just thinking about the fact of like being so committed to one thing and losing it, and only to find out that you're going to gain so much more. You know what I mean?
Yeah. See, I have a slightly different viewpoint about that. In that, you know, from a father's standpoint, and it kind of hit me when, I can't remember the exact saying, but it was something like, you know, when a little child asks you, you know, for a toy or for something, and no, better scenario, when a child says, hey, I want this, you know, ice cream bar, you know, and you say no, and the child throws a fit, throws a tantrum, starts throwing everything around and everything. Just
This seems like a real situation here.
I was mad.
just goes.
I was angry.
Give me that ice cream bar.
And a child, they're so fixated on it. They so want it. But as a parent, as a father, you say, no, that's not good for. It may be good for you in the near term, but long term, it's not good. Have a carrot instead, have this or anything like that. So I've learned that, if God doesn't answer you, if he doesn't, seem like he's there, he is there. But he just might be saying, hey, you need to do something or you need to learn something, by me saying, no, or just getting a different understanding than what you want.
Yeah. Sometimes he's teaching you self-control through it all rather than just putting you on a different path.
Well, and it's part of the human condition too. We can't always get what we want either.
You can't always get what you want.
I knew it. I shouldn't have said that.
Finish it.
I don't know.
But you can try sometime. You might find
you get what you need.
Hey!
What is that?
Rolling Stones.
Rolling Stones, baby.
I'm sorry.
This guy cultured.
God,
too busy eating ice cream bars. He didn't want to listen to any music.
I try to teach him the music thing.
He'd be like, "You want to listen to some music? Go stand in that corner on one leg." Yeah, you remember? What? Yeah.
What? This isn't about me. This is about you.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway,
talking.
Okay, so I do
punishments, by the way.
I do have a different question now that you're here in Grand Rapids, and you've had a little bit of a time to adjust, but there's still been a big adjustment from your college life to your now, adult life. You having to do a lot of things now, on your own. Before it was like, hey, the college took care of this, and you had to, be in practice. They made sure you got on the plane. They made sure all this and everything like that. What do you see in your future now that you are now, a paid professional, adult?
Just a lot of peace, I'd say. And when I say peace, I say like a lot of routine. Where it's like, get up at this time, make breakfast at this time, or juice, read my Bible, then make breakfast, right? And then go to practice, get treatment.
Go to work,
all this stuff. Go get extra work, And I've really enjoyed that. And I don't have a car up here right now, but the goal is too soon. And so that is going to be something that I'm super excited for. And this is the routine that's now. But I can't wait to revamp it where it's I can maximize everything and just be consistent in it all.
You're a little bit more mobile too.
More mobile, able to, do the things that I need to do. Even on off days, I want to have a routine. Today was an off day because we played the past, 2 days. But it's even having a routine of different treatment things. Maybe go get treatment, all this stuff. Doing something for the body or something that, get up, maybe just go on a walk, and to figure all that out. And so it's just you're keeping your body in some sort of rhythmic pattern. And that's what I'm most excited about. But then also just having the freedom to just, adult. I know that comes with a lot of responsibilities, but at the same time, it's I feel like I've always been the person that's bring it on. I want to make the most out of everything that I have. So even out of these responsibilities, I want to make it the most. I want to turn it into my responsibilities, and make them great, make them enjoyable. If I have to pay a bill, shoot, that sucks, but let's make it enjoyable. Let's go.
Yeah, but at least you have the money to pay it. That's
exactly.
the thing.
Let's,
that's
do better in our job so these bills don't seem as bad.
That's the gratitude that you sometimes have to look at.
And
adulting.
Even just I can't wait for it all. Even just the rhythm and the routine, where, you know, being in a job, the pay can be a little bit more consistent, the savings can be a little bit more consistent, the giving can be a little bit more consistent. Like, I am super excited about that, and also just to feel like I've been a nomad, lived a nomadic life for so long, and I can't wait to just like, I don't know if it's I never had a place to like kind of lay my head like and call my own, because this is even necessarily that, because I'll be gone and out of here in 5 months or less, but at least like the responsibilities and the kind of feeling of that freedom and that adulthood has made it feel more like home, you know, because
Totally.
it's mine. So that's been, I'd say it just gives a lot more peace, a lot more like this could be my sanctuary. I could find my private space, you know,
It's yours.
have my private space, my private time.
It's all yours.
And it's been cool. Sometimes it feels like it was overdue, but yeah, mom always tells me that, you know, my timing's always been different than everyone else's. So it's like sometimes, you know, God's really just trying to drill in that patience tool. So I think that's why I'm a little bit late to even join the party.
You were always late.
Always late.
You were always late because I was always late.
Yeah.
So that's where you got.
So I think I'm a couple games behind. When everyone gets comfortable, I always take a little bit.
Yeah.
But like once we do, like we can just.
Yep.
Fine.
You're just late
And-
bloomer.
and you guys are-
always coming.
You guys will continue to grow as a team too, from just a purely basketball perspective. I mean, there's so much excitement about what you guys are going to be able to accomplish, and I know you got a lot of guys on your team you're super confident about, and that'll be fun to just be able to watch you guys. I mean, I had a blast being here, but even watching Summer League and like those nights thinking about like you being in Santa Cruz or Austin or whatever, and being able to turn on a game and watch and just like be able to cheer you on. I know that you're obviously looking forward to that.
Yeah.
But I can't wait for that as well. That's gonna be a blast, and you know, it's a whole different ball game, man. It's crazy.
And I can't wait because I know the times I stayed up on the phone with you guys.
Yeah.
And, like telling you guys like how practices went so well. I'm so excited. Like I'm playing so well. Can't wait to show you the player that I've become. All this stuff, and so that's a little bit of a part that's like you know, stings a little bit. It's like you guys haven't seen it yet. You know,
Yeah.
the stuff that I'm talking about, but.
Yeah, right.
Or like I'm just talking out of my mind, you know, like just putting my mouth way ahead of what my actions are. But I'm so excited because like once we get comfortable, like it's gonna be so fun. Like I'm actually super excited about my game and where it's going. Hasn't been shown yet, but I think it's just, you know, gotta get comfortable, gotta get caught with the speed. I mean, I'm a rookie in this league now, right?
Yeah.
Need to be aware of people baiting me in the fouls.
You gotta learn. You got a lot to learn. You know, there's a lot to learn. It's the same thing when you're going into college. You know, it's just that learning curve, and every level is different. You know, every level is different.
And I think right now it's gotta get knocked down a little bit, get back up.
Well, and that's the
Not
thing
the
too.
humbleness, or not knock the humbleness.
You know,
get humbled.
Hopefully, you learn from each level that you know you're beginning to know yourself a little bit more. You know, with each level, and along with that comes the ability to, when that level happens, that you go, oh, okay, I know I'm doing kind of this thing, and that turnaround gets shorter and shorter. You know, hopefully from that.
No, completely. And that's been the cool thing about keeping a journal of it all. So I can write down my different valleys and my different highs. Yeah. Well, in the Daniel 5, after talking about it all, like I wrote, you were making a masterpiece, and I could see it. And I'll never stop fighting for you to be first. Blah blah blah. And then there was one right here: is I need to find you, I need to surrender. So it's like kind of cool seeing all this stuff. You know, I see my journeys of where my mind is at, and even the different things God's teaching me in these moments. So it's been great. This is a new one that I started because like I have books just full of different things. I need to get more consistent, but I don't know. It's been one of my favorite things with studying that and also diving into this is like I can look back and see the different things God's been teaching me.
Yep.
So it's been fun, but.
By the way, our light died like 10 seconds in. I don't know if you... I set up this light up front so you could see our Brick House built supplements, which is another huge piece of the journey. But I think it died literally 5 seconds in, so that's a little,
We'll get better.
a little unfortunate. But blame that on me.
Yeah, but it's nice.
So
Hopefully, you know, this.
Okay, I'm done.
I'm excited about this whole journey, even just getting it started. I mean, I I don't know where it's gonna go, but I know like it's just like let your heart yearn for it and let your heart grow and just do it for all the right reasons, and that's where we'll kind of go with all this. And so I'm excited. Like maybe these become more of a consistent thing. Shoot, maybe even post this on God's Big Toe.
Yeah.
I think that could be something good. And maybe we just start running with it. Maybe this is what the new podcast looks like if we do a podcast. Maybe it's just random people and it's just me.
Yeah.
Right? So,
you're really in the same boat as everybody else too. You're not sure where the journey's going to take you. No one knows, really.
Nobody knows.
That's the fun in it,
That's
too.
the fun in it, exactly. That you wake up and it's a whole new morning. You get a whole new chance. You never know what's going to drop into your lap, or end up, and where you're going to end up. And especially with you, you actually have more of an arc of the possibilities, where some people that around your age or my age, whatever, we're kind of like we got more routine, but it's still fascinating because you don't know what tomorrow's going to bring you, and that's true for anyone. That's just the way it is. That's life,
That's just the way it is.
I gotta get off this now. You guys are
Here's him doing the song. That's your era.
This song he knows. All right, with that, I'm done.
Yeah.
Let me just pop this.
I'm done too.
Zach, right here. I'll help you out.
I'm going
There
with
you
that
go.
now. There we go.
Oh.
Guys, you guys like our big long blanket?
Yeah.
I need to learn how to speak again.
Seriously.
Probably.
Anyway.
Horrible. What up, Doug?
What up, Matt? Wait, say your thing.
What was it again?
Yeah. Wait. What is it?
Okay, let's go.
Dude, it's so good. It's so much better than mine.
You do it.
Okay, let's go.
It's so trash.
Try over time. You gotta be more out of breath.
I can't. Yours is so much better.
Okay, let's go.
Oh, that was bad. That was bad.
He sold.
Okay, let's go.
That one was good. It's so trash.
You kept me up past midnight for this.
For that.
You try.
You know what I'm gonna say? Okay, I'm going.
Hey.
Okay, let's go. Okay, I'm good.
But yeah. Well, anyways, I guess this is where we'll conclude our little Q&A / podcast. But
Thank you for inviting me, both you guys, setting this up and everything like that. I
thank you for
definitely,
having us both on.
man,
definitely appreciate it.
Thank you
And,
for staying in the second bedroom. Thank you for staying.
You don't want to see my bed. Check out the vlog if you want to see where I'm sleeping.
This is
It's a whole kerfuffle.
He's got the best room. It's like no wedding. He's got one light. It's basically just.
It's great.
Don't give it away, but
It's
hey.
great. Go check out the vlog if you want to see where I'm sleeping.
Gosh, we have a 2-bedroom here. I'm in the master. He's in the second bedroom.
What you do with that information?
We're in the living room right now, and Houston's not sleeping here, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That only leaves a couple of rooms.
So.
I just get the the flashback of Shawshank Redemption.
Exactly,
And,
right? I'm
Just
crawling my way out of there.
little.
It's tough.
Oh, it's too funny.
That is the best room, though.
It was great.
It's great.
Completely blackout curtains
I
built in.
woke up this morning. I thought it was 4 a.m. and it was 1 p.m.
Gosh.
I was like,
No light
not about
penetrates.
time to
in
get
that
up, I
place.
think.
Yeah, we were up.
Yeah, were you? You were up making my avocado toast with eggs.
Yeah,
It's good stuff.
You liked it?
Good stuff.
All right.
Good
But-
stuff.
Yeah, no. Appreciate you both.
Yes, sir.
Means a lot, especially you guys being here at the start of my career.
Yeah.
Whether it be G League, whether it be anything, it's the start of my professional career. So, appreciate you guys. Love you both. But
Yeah.
with
And
that,
too, they're at the college there. You're at SIBO.
everything,
Yeah.
everything.
I jumped ship a little bit later. Or joined the ship, I should say.
He's more of a bandwagon type guy.
Exactly, yeah.
You can see his, he's a Titans guy. Just kidding, that's your basketball.
This is my high school, so don't even listen to this kid.
Well, he wears it for football purposes. You can tell.
Yeah, I'm a huge Tennessee Titans fan.
No. But yeah, you got the bandwagon guy, then you got the guy that was here from the
OG.
beginning. So the OG.
Yep.
The OG pops.
Yeah.
Now I understand why, though. Again, looking back, seeing you're kind of, you just need to get out of your head a little bit, from getting that. Yeah. You'll get there. You'll get there. You'll be fine.
We'll be good.
Yep.
I was trying to think of a football team, but to be honest, I don't know what football team you support.
You know, I'm a Denver Broncos fan.
You're a Denver Broncos fan? Oh, makes sense.
Represent.
Bandwagon.
Are you
And then,
kidding
and then
me?
you want to know his basketball team, Golden State Warriors.
That's obvious.
It was always. It was just because Curry's on it, and
That's OG.
when they started going on their run.
I can tell. I've given my story before as to why I'm a Warriors fan. It's a classic story. That's a story for another podcast.
Sure.
This is
On that note.
This is why you're in that bedroom.
Yeah.
On that note, yeah.
Bedroom. Sure.
Hey, there's always the
Yeah. There's the hammock on
there's
the.
the hammock on the veranda there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
How lovely.
It's good stuff.
It's pretty cold out there too.
Yeah. But, anyways, appreciate you guys tuning in. This turned out to be a little bit longer than we expected, but I mean, sometimes you can't put a value on good conversation. So that's that. But if it's alright with you guys, we'll pray us out.
Let's do it.
Okay.
And that's that. Dear Lord, I just want to thank you for today. Just thank you for everything. Just thank you for the family that we have, the community that we have, and the brotherhood ultimately. And Lord, we just pray that you allow these two to travel back safe in the morning, that they can get home to where they need to be, and that you have a hand over their flights. And Lord, I just pray that you have all of our futures in your hand. You know, that when we're going through struggle, that you are the one that is planning the path, and you're the one that's creating the steps to get out of the valley and bring us to our mountaintop that is closest to you. And so we just pray that we stay on that journey to get higher and higher and closest to you, and feel you with us in every moment. And so Lord, we just pray that you're here. We pray for your favor and give thanks for the place that we are at right now. So thank you, and just allow us to keep growing and have confidence and put our hope ultimately in you, and also just be ourselves. So Lord, thank you. Thank you for everyone watching. Thank you for everything. If anyone has anything going on, I pray that you're just with them, you show them love, and you let them know that you are there, and you're teaching them and giving them clarity and strength. So Lord, thank you. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 Oh, appreciate you guys.
Peace.
See you next time. And always be a light. Remember to always be a light.